My wife finally became the heiress of the Shun family. With that came endless contempt directed at me, simply because I had no family inheritance of my own. I endured the humiliation, playing the role of the faithful, adoring cuckold. Only when I had completely swallowed the Shun group whole did Shen Qingyao finally know fear. She knelt, begging me to spare her. I merely smiled. The ocean is quite lovely, perfect for a family retreat to cultivate the spirit. Farewell, my dear wife. I was in the bar, flirting with my canary cuddled in my arms, when someone suddenly sought me out. A young man, face dark with anger, berated me for my moral corruption, for interfering in his relationship with his girlfriend. Puzzled, I looked at my canary. Aren't you single? The canary looked equally vexed and slapped the young man. Get lost, you lunatic. Later, I found out the girlfriend he mentioned wasn't my canary. It was my wife. Quite the farce. Smiling, I had the bodyguards invite the newcomer to kneel for the entire night. Thank you so much for looking after my wife. My sincerest apologies, she's just so fickle, I can hardly keep track of the dogs she keeps around. But no matter, I'll have a word with her later. We'll definitely prepare enough dog food for all of you. Remember, keep the leash on tight next time. Looking at my clothes, wrinkled from the newcomer's rough handling, I felt genuinely annoyed. Are those bodyguards just freeloaders? If my little canary hadn't slapped him a few times, my clothes might have actually gotten dirty. The canary beside me nervously tried to straighten my clothes. I stopped her with a gesture, slowly raised my head, and looked coldly at the newcomer. The young pup was indeed rather handsome, his face full of fury. Dressed in a clean, crisp shirt and jeans, brimming with youthful energy, he clearly hadn't been out of school for long. You bastard! Not only do you seduce Qingyao, but you're also involved with this woman. You're nothing but a scumbag. His eyes blazed with anger. If the bodyguards hadn't arrived promptly, he probably would have tried to fight me. I leaned back against the sofa, shifting into a more comfortable position. So, he was here for Shen Qingyao. I took a sip of my drink and spoke lightly. Shen Qingyao? What is your relationship with her? The young man took a step forward, but likely fearing the bodyguards, he stopped abruptly. Still, a trace of mockery showed in his eyes. I am her boyfriend. I've already proposed to her, so I hope you, the third party, will back off. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you have a bit of dirty money. Qingyao would never like you. Hasn't anyone told you? Homewreckers never end well. His continuous rant was ruining my mood for drinking. I waved a hand towards the bodyguards. I don't like the way he looks down on me while speaking. The bodyguards were already feeling uneasy about their earlier mistake that led to my wrinkled clothes. Now, finally having a chance to redeem themselves, they didn't hesitate. A swift kick sent the man kneeling to the floor, where they held him firmly. Without my command, he would spend the entire night speaking to me on his knees. I chuckled, stood up, and walked over to him. What do you want? I simply patted his shoulder. Don't be afraid, let's chat. How did you find out about me? He wore an expression of humiliation, but his eyes still held defiance. I like that. I saw you holding hands with her, going into a restaurant. I've seen plenty of scumbags like you, using your filthy money to pick up young girls, not caring if they already have boyfriends. We were about to get married. It's all because of you. You won't end well. He spoke with such righteous indignation, as if I were truly about to be struck down by lightning any second. I roughly understood now. It must have been that incident a week ago, a gathering for both families where we had to pretend to be a loving couple. He must have seen us then. I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. Had this kid had his head caught in a door, or maybe kicked by a donkey? Once I had laughed enough, I sat back down on the sofa and ate a piece of fruit fed to me by my canary. Oh, so you two were about to get married, and I'm the third party who interfered. Is that it? However, I suggest you kneel here and reflect carefully. Do you truly know Shen Qingyao? As far as I know, Shen Qingyao couldn't possibly have a fiancée. Seeing the young man about to argue, I simply waved my hand. She's married, has been for 3 years. I educated him earnestly. I've seen plenty of off-putting guys like you, using your good looks to hook up with rich older women, completely disregarding whether they're married or not. Let me tell you, many rich women are quite wicked. They like whips, candles, that sort of thing. They might even burn you with cigars. Watch out, your body might not handle it. The young man seemed unable to accept reality. After all, he had come here righteously to catch the other man. I had my assistant toss him a wad of cash. Thank you so much for looking after my wife. My sincerest apologies, she's just so fickle, I can hardly keep track of how many dogs she has around. But no matter, I'll have a word with her later. We'll definitely prepare enough dog food for all of you. Remember, keep the leash on tight next time. Then I waved dismissively and the bodyguard, sharp enough to take the hint, moved him to kneel somewhere else. Early morning, the villa's main door opened. I had just finished my workout with the canary and was resting. Quite puzzled, I watched Shen Qingyao enter. Since she became the Shun family heir a year ago, we had barely spent any time under the same roof. True, we could both access each other's villas, but that was merely because we sometimes needed to keep up appearances. Shen Qingyao looked at me, her expression grim. "Bye, let's talk." I clicked my tongue. What way to spoil the mood. I was just about to get some more exercise in, only to be interrupted like this. Feeling sorry for him. She paused for a moment, sighed, and walked over to me. "Sorry, I didn't know Guchun would come bothering you." I poured myself a glass of red wine, and poured her one too. Whatever the case, our relationship at least extended to sharing a glass of wine. Keep your dog on a leash. If there's a next time, you'll be looking for him encased in cement or at the bottom of the river. Shen Qingyao remained silent. I wasn't in any hurry. Our eyes met for a few seconds before she looked away. "Fine, but you should also recognize your place. You're nothing now, so it's best not to make things too ugly." She stood up, ready to leave, but then turned back and came to stand before me. Under the lights, Shen Qingyao's face was indeed beautiful. I just never cared for it. She spoke softly. "Bye, leave him alone. Otherwise, we get a divorce. Don't forget, you're just an outcast of the Liu family. This won't do you any good." I couldn't help but scoff. "What? Have you actually caught feelings this time?" She watched me in silence, her tone softening, a rare occurrence. "No, but there are no feelings between us. Things are fine as they are. Rest assured, I won't let him show his face to you again." A cold smile touched my lips. Incredible that this woman could actually be gentle sometimes. Not that I cared. "Fine. Remember your words. Don't let him appear before me again." It was time once again to endure the Shun family obligations. These occasions were always the greatest ordeal for me. I had to fight back my revulsion and put on an act of marital bliss with Shen Qingyao. Afterwards, we would return to our separate homes, each tending to our separate lives. This week, it was time to visit the Shun family again. As the meal concluded, her mother beamed at Shen Qingyao. "Qingyao dear, you two have been married for 3 years now. Isn't it time to consider having a child?" I remained silent, unsure how to respond. It wasn't the first time her parents had broached the subject. Over the past year, although we lived separate lives, we had meticulously maintained appearances. In truth, her family was well aware of our actual situation. Raising this now was just the same old refrain. The Shun family simply needed a future heir. As long as the child was Shen Qingyao's, that was all that mattered. Whether or not it was mine was unimportant. I was still searching for words when, unexpectedly, Shen Qingyao spoke up, a bashful look on her face. "Mom, we already have a child. We came today, intending to tell you. Please, rest assured." As Shen Qingyao's parents turned their expectant gazes towards me, I had no choice but to force a smile and nod. Inwardly, however, turmoil brewed. After all, there was no affection between us. We practically couldn't stand each other. We had an agreement: live separate lives, do as we please. Even if illegitimate children resulted from our affairs, they weren't supposed to be flaunted so openly. What was this stunt today? Was I supposed to play the happy, unsuspecting father? I forced myself through the rest of the meal, then rose, ready to leave. The displeasure on my face must have been obvious, as Shen Qingyao's parents likely guessed the reason. Despite this, they feigned concern. "Is something wrong? Are you upset? You could talk to us, I offered a brittle smile, but said nothing. Throughout all this, Shen Qingyao maintained that ambiguous half-smile, seemingly unperturbed by the situation. "Mom, it's nothing," Shen Qingyao interjected smoothly. "Abai is just concerned about my health." Her mother gave an awkward little laugh and patted my hand gently. "Abai, we spoiled Qingyao terribly growing up. If you ever feel wronged in any way, you must tell us, all right?" I nodded curtly. "Mom, rest assured. I have some urgent matters to attend to at the company, so I need to head out." Before they could say anything further, I grabbed my jacket and departed. Whatever happened next, I couldn't care less. I spent the entire night sitting in the study. I was waiting for Shen Qingyao's explanation. But she didn't contact me the whole night, not even a single message. It seems she really doesn't take me seriously. "Fine. Since it's come to this, I'll send your family of 3, no 5, on a trip down below. After all, there's plenty of room down there. Spots have been reserved for you. Going down all together, neat and tidy, you can look out for each other. Wouldn't want you to be lonely." Before I knew it, I had fallen asleep. When I woke up, I felt uncomfortable all over and my mood was foul. After thinking for a while, I decided to give myself a day off. As for what to do, fishing perhaps. away from the crowds, peaceful and leisurely. Vengeance not yet taken, humiliation not yet wiped away. When I'm planning, I prefer to be alone and undisturbed. Besides, they've walked all over me. Do they really expect me to just endure it? Squatting alone by the riverbank, enjoying the attentive service of my little canary, I prepared a full set of gear for myself. When you have money, you should enjoy it. Before any fish took the bait, Gu Cheng popped up. Before he could even barge in front of me, he was pinned to the ground by the bodyguards. Good. These bodyguards know how to learn their lesson. Docking their pay the other day was quite effective. Didn't your sugar mama tell you not to appear before me? I looked at him, my face full of scorn. Honestly, in my view, this kind of reckless social climbing is truly foolish. Once she's tired of playing, wouldn't it be better to just take the money and leave? The circles of the wealthy elite aren't that easy to navigate. Sucking up to the powerful and trampling on the weak is all too common, and the methods can be quite ruthless. But Gu Cheng seemed completely undeterred. He didn't struggle, just looked at me quite smugly. Qingyao is pregnant, you know that, right? I chuckled. I know. A bastard child whose father isn't even certain. I'll just take her to get rid of it in a few days. It won't interfere with your sweet time together. Just make sure you take good care of her during her recovery. How boring. Just a few simple words, and he flies into a rage. I don't know if my words are too venomous, or if his tolerance is just too low. You dare. That's my child with Qingyao. I watched him leisurely, a mocking expression on my face. Of course, I was just provoking him earlier. Last night, I had my assistant investigate. In the past 6 months, Shen Qingyao has only been with this one man. Oh, still a bastard then? Gu Cheng snorted coldly. Do you have any idea how much Qingyao loves me? We've been together constantly during this time. Has she ever even come home? Did you know she said that just looking at you makes her sick? This child is the best proof. Qingyao said she will definitely give birth to this child. Besides, what right do you, a man who lives off his wife, have to do anything? I shrugged nonchalantly. Was he trying to tell me a love story? I couldn't help but mock him a little. Don't you hate homewreckers? Now that you know you're the third party, why so proud? Maybe she really does like you. So what? As long as I don't want it, you two have absolutely no future, and that includes the bastard child. But Gu Cheng seemed completely unfazed by my mockery. He appeared quite confident in himself. Lu Bai, don't think you're so great just because you have some stinking money. Shen Qingyao doesn't love you. She even hates you. Yours was an arranged marriage. You're barely better than a man who married into the family. What right do you have to choose? If you know what's good for you, divorce her voluntarily. Otherwise, you'll end up raising my child for me. I lit a cigarette. Through the faint smoke, looking at that foolish face, I smiled. Truly, adorably stupid. Did he think latching onto Shen Qingyao meant everything was settled? 3 years of marriage, and I'd long grown sick of the Shun family. 3 years was also enough time for me to lay my plans. Raise your child? Are you even worthy? Gu Cheng, if I were you, I'd kneel down right now and kowtow 100 times just to ensure you can still enjoy good food for the rest of your life. In Shen Qingyao's eyes, the only way you're better than a dog is that you can speak human language. Gu Cheng was furious. Perhaps, in the eyes of the young, everyone is truly equal before the law. Lu Bai, don't be too arrogant. This is Jiang City. You can't just do whatever you want here. His defenses crumbled just like that? How dull. I lost interest in teasing him further. Ignoring him, I gave a calm instruction to the bodyguards. Last time, he didn't kneel long enough, didn't learn his lesson. Make him kneel until tomorrow morning. If he moves, slap him. The bodyguard's execution has always been ruthlessly efficient. Although Gu Cheng shouted and struggled, the bodyguards descended on him with dozens of hard slaps, swelling his mouth shut. Only then did he seem to remember this was a remote spot. Shouting alone wouldn't summon the police. Shen Qingyao and I have known each other since childhood. Our families weren't particularly close, merely acquainted. 3 years ago, both families had their eyes set on the same project, one too large for either to tackle alone, necessitating a joint venture. Thus, we entered into a marriage alliance. Initially, things were actually quite harmonious between us. It was a marriage of convenience, after all. Back then, neither of us dared risk shattering the cooperation between our families. The ensuing losses would have been unbearable for either side. This state lasted for 2 full years. Although we both harbored ambitions, we were keenly aware that realizing them would be difficult. Above me stood my ruthless elder brother, and above her, an impeccably calculating one. The upheaval began a year ago. Shen Qingyao's brother was involved in a car accident. His wife and child perished at the scene, and he himself was left in a vegetative state. In an instant, the Shen Corporation lost its most brilliant heir. Old Master Shun was compelled to come out of retirement and concurrently began to groom Shen Qingyao. Struck by this sudden, immense fortune, Shen Qingyao rapidly shed the persona of the little woman sacrificed for a marriage alliance. She underwent a metamorphosis, emerging as the sole, highly coveted heir to Jiangqing's powerful Shen Corporation. Subsequently, our relationship gradually grew delicate. In her eyes, I, the second son of the Liu family with no claim to inheritance, likely retained value only as a link to the Liu Corporation. Naturally, the handsome young assistants constantly by her side were replaced one after another. Confronted with this situation, I remained silent, becoming a cuckold in the eyes of others. I understood that I lacked sufficient strength. Anything I said or did would be deemed wrong. Truth in this world invariably rests in the hands of the powerful. Perhaps because the Shun family still relied on the Liu family support, Shen Qingyao broached the subject with me. "I'll buy," she proposed. "Our statuses have changed, but you will always be my husband. If you feel it's unfair, you may seek your own amusement elsewhere, but don't get anyone pregnant." I nodded and adhered to the terms. This past year unfolded with a semblance of peace. Her young assistants came and went, one after the next. My own canaries, too, were kept in succession. In public, we portrayed a couple deeply devoted to each other. Behind closed doors, we frequently didn't even spend the night under the same roof. Gradually, Shen Qingyao's demeanor towards me diminished to nothing more than public displays of affection. Yet, I never anticipated she would permit her dogs to disregard the rules of our arrangement. Not only did she allow certain individuals to parade themselves before me, but she even intended to make me the unwitting father. Since it has come to this, my preparations over these past 3 years have indeed not been in vain. I wasn't sure exactly how Shen Qingyao would lose it. This fishing trip was definitely off. Turning, I pulled my little canary into the car. Gazing at the starlight headliner and the beauty beside me, my lower back felt a little sore. A sense of deep annoyance welled up inside me. I gave my nose an awkward rub. Seems I've been tutoring the canary a bit too often lately. Driving back from the riverbank, gazing at the white clouds, my thoughts somehow drifted back 3 years. Back then, I had just returned from studying abroad when my family practically dragged me to a cocktail party meant to forge a marriage alliance. They brooked no argument, arranging the marriage outright. That time, I didn't put up a fight. It would have been pointless. My elder brother's reaction was remarkably nonchalant. "It's exactly what you think. The Liu family needs this marriage alliance with the Shuns. Accept it or don't. You have to accept it. Whose fault is it that you didn't work hard enough to secure the family inheritance rights?" He said it so casually, but in that instant, my heart plunged into utter despair. That night, I sat alone all through the night. I've never been one to take losses lying down, but I possessed an advantage few others had, the capacity for forbearance. Perhaps it stemmed from knowing, ever since I was young, that I would never be the Liu family heir. After all, my brother was 5 years older with a steady temperament. No matter how hard I tried, I could never measure up. All I could do was conceal my restless heart. Leveraging the Liu family's resources, I began plotting how to swallow the Shun family whole. To others, it might have seemed like an ant trying to swallow an elephant. But the reality was that the Liu and Shun families had always been outwardly cordial, but inwardly antagonistic. There was much I could exploit, especially after the Shun family lost their most promising heir. Shen Qingyao was capable, certainly, but she lacked a certain finesse. My brother feared me, feared I would usurp his power. But this time he would help me, because the Liu family stood to gain enormous benefits, and they'd have a free attack dog. If that was the deal, I could certainly play the subservient role required of me. After dawn broke, I had a thorough discussion with my brother. The outcome was quite satisfactory. "Brother, I refuse to accept the status quo. I want the Shun family." He merely chuckled. Then, very patiently, he instructed me. "You're too weak right now. Your position through this marriage means the Shuns won't trust you, not even Shen Qingyao. If you want the Shun family, they can't be too united internally. At the very least, you need to stoke Shen Qingyao's ambition. The Liu family will be your firm backing. You should know what to do." I nodded and discussed the finer points with him. In the years that followed, Shen Qingyao and I treated each other with polite formality. No matter how outrageously Shen Qingyao behaved, I endured it. Through my relentless efforts, Shen Qingyao's ambition finally could no longer be contained. Even after she became the sole heir, I continued to play the role of the loyal cuckold and lapdog. One of her previous boy toys, a male model, even made a scene in front of me, just like Gucheng. I didn't say a word, continuing to treat Shen Qingyao with the same gentleness, until he was found drowned in the river. After that, Shen Qingyao strictly forbade her little playthings from appearing before me. I, too, began executing my own plans, silently infiltrating the Shun group. And so it went. She lived it up outside, utterly carefree, but she quickly tired of her little playthings. Until Gu Cheng came along. According to my assistant's investigation, they had been together for nearly 6 months. I didn't care what she did outside, but she absolutely could not flaunt it in my face. A warning should have been sufficient. Now she deserves to die. The Shun family deserves to fall. Shen Qingyao dragged Gu Cheng, whose legs were stiff from kneeling, back into the villa, her face dark as she stared at him. Qingyao, slow down, he protested. My legs still hurt. This time, however, Shen Qingyao didn't indulge him. She strode forward and slapped him across the face. Didn't I tell you not to make a scene in front of him? Are you treating my words like empty air? Gu Cheng naturally felt guilty. Shen Qingyao had already explained many things to him. The Shun and Lu families currently had a cooperative relationship. They couldn't easily fall out. His actions were simply driven by his desire to climb higher. Yet he hadn't expected his darling from just a day ago to now appear so ferocious and terrifying. It just goes to show that those who thrive in his line of work know how to bend and yield. With a thud, Gu Cheng knelt on the floor. Qingyao, I was wrong. I just couldn't bear the thought of our child calling someone else dad. That's why I did something so foolish. Shen Qingyao wasn't buying any of it. Women raised in prominent families were rarely easily fooled. I'm asking you, what exactly did you say to him? Lu Bai isn't someone who angers easily. Don't blame me for not warning you. Those who provoke him don't meet good ends. Now, Gu Cheng truly felt apprehensive. I just said that if he didn't divorce you, he'd have to raise our child for his entire life. But he went too far. He actually threatened me. He even said the only way I was better than a dog was that I could speak human words. The words had barely left his mouth when his face was struck a dozen more times. Then came Shen Qingyao's cold, merciless words. Lu Bai was right. You need to recognize your place. This child belongs to the Shun family and will take the Shen surname. Did you really think just because you can sow the seed, you hold all the cards? The only reason I've kept you around for so long is because you're handsome enough and obedient enough. But your intelligence is truly worrying. I need to seriously consider whether I even want this child anymore. Gu Cheng was stunned. He had assumed that a woman willing to bear his child must love him to the bone. How could this be? The turn of events completely surpassed the understanding of his limited mind. He crawled forward a few steps on his knees. No, Qingyao, I can't leave you, I love you. Before he could finish, several more heavy slaps landed on his face. Love? How much is love worth? I enjoy having fun, and it's impossible for me to have Lu Bai's child, but my child belongs to the Shun family, not you. Now, Gu Cheng finally understood. He was just an artificial inseminator, at best with the added attribute of being a pleasant distraction. Feelings, love, in the struggles of wealthy families, they weren't worth a damn. Qingyao, I know I was wrong. I'll listen to whatever you say from now on. Please don't be angry. You're still pregnant. You absolutely mustn't let anger harm your health. Hearing this, much of Shen Qingyao's anger subsided. She, like me, is ambitious. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so easily swayed by my encouragement. As for why she's unwilling to have my child, besides her inherently freedom-loving nature, she also doesn't want to be tied to the Lu family's chariot. Who asked me not to be the Lu family heir? Reality is harsh. If you lack power, even dogs look down on you. Shen Qingyao sat on the sofa, eyes closed, enjoying Gu Cheng's ministrations. Don't appear before Lu Bai again. Behave yourself. As long as the child exists, I guarantee you'll have more money than you can spend for the rest of your life. Otherwise, I won't bother looking for you, whether you turn up in a river or encased in cement. How could Gu Cheng dare to say another word now? He hastily agreed. Sitting in the office, I listened attentively to my assistant's report. As early as 3 years ago, I knew how the Shun family viewed this marriage, and I knew that Shen Qingyao and I were merely sacrifices. It's just that she acted a bit sooner than expected. Unexpectedly, I was cast in the role of the patient hunter, the oriole waiting in the wings. Her thinking was simple. Eliminate her brother, and the Shun family fortune would naturally be hers. And as for me, it suited her best if I willingly played the part of the cuckold. As for me, when did I start laying my plans? That was 3 years ago. On a very chance occasion, I overheard a conversation between Shen Qingyao's father and her brother. Have Qingyao keep a tight grip on Lu Bai. Down the line, he's a valuable pawn. If used well, we might even swallow the Lu family whole. Shen Qingyao's brother laughed confidently. Don't worry, father. Lu Bai won't escape my grasp. After this project concludes, I'll approach the Zhao and Lu families, look for an opportunity to strike at the Lu family together. Once the Lu Corporation can no longer hold on, I'll have the Lu family transfer a portion of their shares to Lu Bai. Then, those shares will be under Qingyao's control, and the Lu family will cease to be our rivals. Because I learned this information in advance, my elder brother was prepared. He skillfully defused that crisis. The relationship between our two families was reduced to nothing more than a thin veneer of superficial politeness. I also registered a company overseas. Leveraging information from the Lu family, it quickly grew strong. I had people bribe numerous mid-level personnel within the Shen Corporation. The power of money, combined with the Lu Corporation's backing, soon had many employees drawing 2 salaries. I even had a department specifically established just to compile and analyze the Shen Corporation's activities. This department achieved significant successes. It snatched away numerous contracts from the Shen Corporation. It could be said that my overseas company caused the Shen Corporation to inexplicably lose quite a few contracts. Although this didn't inflict crippling damage on the Shen Corporation, it certainly allowed the Lu Corporation to profit considerably. Consequently, my own company also grew and strengthened. While it wasn't yet strong enough to go head-to-head with the Shen Corporation, with the Lu family support, achieving the impossible, like an ant swallowing an elephant, was not entirely out of the question. Once Shen Qingyao had calmed down, she sought me out in a great hurry. The moment she saw me, she breathed a sigh of relief. In her plan, I was a crucial link. It wasn't just about me wearing the green hat. She also planned to provoke me, or rather, provoke the Lu Corporation into attacking the Shen Corporation, allowing her to pull chestnuts out of the fire. She believed that if I turned hostile now, it would be entirely disadvantageous to me. But she didn't know I had seen through it all long ago. This time, her so-called scheme would bring down the final curtain on the Shen Corporation. I sat on the sofa, coldly observing Shen Qingyao seated opposite me. A rare trace of guilt flickered across her face. Bai, I know the child situation puts you in a difficult position, but I want to keep this child. What compensation do you need? I watch her coolly, my tone colder than a Siberian gale. What? Do you take me for the kind of fool who happily raises another man's child? Don't forget, our agreement to see other people was conditional on not getting anyone pregnant. She froze for a moment, but still forced herself to speak, suppressing her emotions. Bai, that's not what I meant. You can have a child too. Externally, they can take our respective surnames. Satisfied? Her eyes were full of calculation. Yes, she had planned it all, knowing I wouldn't easily give up everything I had now, that I would surely bite off a huge chunk, securing the greatest benefit for herself. But this was exactly what she wanted to see. She wanted not just the Shun family's resources, but the Lu family's too. I was her best pawn. She was quite certain, because without her help, it would have been absolutely impossible for me to secure the position of heir to the Lu Corporation. What a pity. My target was never the Lu Corporation. I looked at her mockingly. Let's divorce. We'll handle the paperwork tomorrow. She shot up from her seat, glaring at me furiously. Lu Bai, don't push your luck. Let me tell you, you can't divorce while I'm pregnant. I won't get an amniocentesis. If you want the Lu Corporation, then do as I say. I tilted my head back, looking up at her, my voice devoid of warmth. Divorce. Tomorrow. Don't forget, I have ample evidence proving this child isn't mine. Also, the Lu Corporation will cancel its cooperation with the Shun Corporation. Of course, we wouldn't actually divorce, but not a single shred of benefit would be forsaken. It would be a crime against myself not to take the money being handed to me on a silver platter. Shen Qingyao's tone softened. Bai, we already agreed. Why are you backing out now? I slowly rose to my feet, staring intently at her. Shen Qingyao, don't forget, I never permitted your affairs to be flaunted before me. Also, you telling your family the child is mine? I don't accept it. Is that clear? Now, my preparations were complete. All I needed was an opportunity. An opportunity she would hand me herself. She wouldn't give up the Lu Corporation. Predictably, she softened again. What do you want? Opening my briefcase, I handed her an agreement. The new project your company just secured. You won't refuse, will you? She gave a self-deprecating laugh. Resignedly, she signed her name. Lu Bai, you really know how to pick your moment. You win. Looking at the signature, I couldn't tell if I felt sorrow or joy, since my own emotions were destined for tragedy. Then let the storm rage even fiercer. After signing the agreement, Shen Qingyao left. Before departing, she gave me a long, meaningful look. I merely smiled and said nothing. I have endured for 3 years. I can wait a little longer. In any case, I will absolutely never allow her the chance to meet that bastard child. The humiliations I've suffered these years, I will return them all, down to the last shred. Picking up my phone, I sent a message to my assistant. Soon enough, the gratuitous transfer of the project caused a huge sensation. Pushed along by the Lu Corporation, news quickly broke that the Shen Corporation was in poor financial health. All this seemed to confirm why the Shen Corporation had transferred the project without compensation. Rumor has it Shen Qingyao flew into a terrible rage, leaving her office looking like a wasteland. Forced by circumstances, she had no choice but to publicly announce their financial situation. The entire Shen Corporation had losses reaching $3 billion, and these losses had not been disclosed in the annual financial reports. Once the banks lowered the Shen Corporation's credit rating, everything began hurtling towards collapse. Lu Bai, this was all you're doing, wasn't it? Across from me, in the office, Shen Qingyao stared fixedly at me. She wasn't a fool. Quite the contrary, she was very clever. From the moment things began spiraling out of control, she had sensed a manipulator behind the scenes, one who knew her extremely well. She just didn't understand exactly how I had done it. Shaking my head, I poured her a cup of tea. If I said it wasn't me, would you believe it? She shook her head, her expression utterly certain. You've been preparing this for a long time, haven't you? Except, what you've always wanted wasn't the Lu Corporation, but the Shun Corporation. Am I right? This woman truly is clever. Since she figured it out, I couldn't be bothered to keep up the act anymore. Playing the affectionate husband for 3 years, the utterly devoted admirer for one, it was truly exhausting. Correct. It was me, or rather, the Lu Corporation. From beginning to end, the only thing I ever wanted was the Shun Corporation. Hearing the answer, Shen Qingyao bit down hard on her lips. The current situation was perilous. The Shen Corporation had reached the end of its rope. Over the past year, driven by Shen Qingyao's ambition, the company had expanded its operations with excessive speed. Superficially, things looked prosperous, but in reality, non-performing assets had become far too numerous. This expansion completely disregarded whether the capital, technology, and management capabilities matched the new fields relative to their core business. All this had kept the Shen Corporation's financial foundation in a perpetual high-risk state. Right now, only the Lu Corporation could save the Shen Corporation. If Lu Corporation were to hide the damaging evidence, allow Shen Qingyao's public relations efforts to proceed, and then inject a large sum of capital, the crisis would be easily resolved. I understood this principle, and so did Shen Qingyao. Bai, she began, her face twisting into a fawning smile as she spoke. I can get rid of this child. I'll sell 10% of Shen Corporation's shares to Lu Corporation. In exchange, I need Lu Corporation to help me. From now on, the Shen Corporation will be Lu Corporation's strongest ally. I will also be your most loyal wife. We can have our own children. As for mistresses, that will be entirely up to you. I scoffed at her words. Shen Qingyao, what sweet dream are you indulging in? Wouldn't merging the Shen Corporation directly into Lu Corporation be a better outcome? Wife, do you think I could rest easy sharing my bed every night with someone who would even dare to harm her own brother? As my words fell, the color instantly drained from Shen Qingyao's face, leaving it deathly pale. Realizing that fawning and pleading were useless with me, she stood up, utterly crestfallen, and walked towards the door. Under the Lu Corporation's relentless assault, the Shen Corporation was already stretched thin. When the Shen Corporation's stock price plummeted below its initial offering price, the Lu family began buying heavily at the bottom. In just one short month, the Shen Corporation was completely swallowed. The reason it proceeded so smoothly, aside from the numerous Lu family insiders within the Shen Corporation, was largely because Shen Qingyao had completely given up resistance, intending to quickly transfer her assets. When the acquisition was finalized, Big Brother and I sat facing each other. Little brother, what do you intend to do next? Big Brother asked slowly, deliberately. His gaze remained fixed on the white clouds outside the window. I knew that if my answer wasn't right, or if I failed to make my intentions clear, I would be the next Shen family. Chuckling softly, I took a document from my bag and handed it over. Big Brother, this represents 30% of the Shen Corporation's shares. We are blood brothers. I believe there's no need for us to fall out over matters of profit. Pausing, I observed no sign of displeasure on Big Brother's face. Only then did I continue. Henceforth, the Shen Corporation will become the new Lu Corporation. Big Brother, you wouldn't refuse my appointment as chairman, would you? Gazing at the share transfer agreement, Big Brother smiled, satisfied. Excellent. From now on, keep things clean. It was already a month later when I saw Shen Qingyao again. She had taken her entire family, along with the $1 billion obtained from selling off their assets, and fled overseas. That day, they had just moved into their newly purchased villa when they suddenly felt faint. By the time they awoke, their hands and feet were bound to the cabin walls. The whole family, all neatly lined up. Shen Qingyao's parents, Gu Cheng, not one was missing. I saw her belly had already begun to show. Chuckling softly, I glanced at the few who were still not fully awake and continued to rest with my eyes closed. We were now on the high seas, and they had no record of leaving the country. In other words, they were officially missing persons. But the Shun family was nowhere near as composed as I was. Especially Gu Cheng. The moment he regained consciousness, he started begging loudly for mercy. Young Master Liu, I was wrong. It was that bitch Shen Qingyao who forced me to do all those things. I was just a tool. Please, I beg you, let me go. If the bodyguards hadn't tied him so tightly, he probably would have been kneeling and kowtowing by now. I despise these kinds of spineless, self-righteous fools the most. Did he really think he still had a chance to live? What place was this? The high seas. As long as he made it back alive, we would be the ones in trouble. I gave a bodyguard a look. Soon, after a few slaps, Gu Cheng's face swelled up badly. These bodyguards were essentially old acquaintances of Gu Cheng. Counting this instance, it was the third time they had taught him a lesson. This time, Gu Cheng didn't dare beg for mercy anymore. Consequently, the other members of the Shun family didn't dare to utter a word either. In the end, it was Shen Qingyao who was pushed forward. Bye. The Shen group is already yours. Aren't you satisfied yet? I'm nothing but a stray now. I won't appear before you ever again. If you need that divorce certificate, I will definitely agree. I beg you, let us go. Whatever conditions you have, I'll agree to them, all right? As she spoke, the head Shen Qingyao had held high in pride for 3 years finally lowered. She struggled to her knees, kowtowing relentlessly. Soon, blood seeped from her forehead. A vaguely mocking smile touched my lips. I waved a dismissive hand. Shen Qingyao, you overestimate yourself. As long as you disappear, I'll naturally regain my freedom. Finishing, I pointed towards the ship's rail. Choose one. The Shun family realized what I intended, and each one struggled even harder. Lu Bai, this is a crime. You can't do this. Good son-in-law, we never treated you unfairly. Watching their disgraceful behavior, my last shred of patience ran out. A light tap silenced the noisy clamor. Your Shen family is truly shameless. Once my wife gained power, she couldn't restrain her desires, keeping 10 little assistants. And that was just in 1 short year. As for good son-in-law, don't even mention it. In your eyes, I was nothing but a pawn in your schemes against the Liu family. Now choose quickly. I'm waiting to see what the sharks look like. If you don't choose, you all go down together. The bodyguards were efficient, immediately starting to push them towards the ship's rail. Terrified, they screamed wildly. Wait, we'll choose. I turned my mocking gaze towards Gu Cheng. Perhaps our minds were linked. He stared back at me, his face deathly pale, eyes filled with pleading. Shen Qingyao gritted her teeth, agonizing for a long moment before speaking. Choose Gu Cheng. Hearing the expected answer, Gu Cheng's face turned even paler. I let out a few cold laughs. Since the choice was made, then let's not delay the show. The bodyguards deftly cut several gashes into Gu Cheng's legs. As the blood dripped down, dorsal fins gradually appeared, slicing through the water surface. Ignoring Gu Cheng's screams and shouts, they tossed him directly into the sea. This scene struck terror into the remaining Shun family members. A demonic grin spread across my face. Your turn, if you please. Soon, their figures vanished from the deck. Once the sea surface had returned to calm, I, in a pleasant mood, poured myself a glass of red wine, using a few pieces of trash to improve the cycle of the marine food chain. Call it waste recycling.